And good evening and welcome to this edition of Train Aficionado Live. I'm Jonathan Higgins. We're live from our studios this evening in Cincinnati, Ohio. So tonight we're going to have a great topic to discuss. Let's start the show right now. Hold on one second. I got to find the... There we go. I basically had to reset my Stream Deck, so there's one button missing on the Stream Deck, which I was looking for, which is not on here for me to be able to press it. So we're good now. So tonight we're talking about the 4 Great Railfanning Scanner Antennas. So many of you have a scanner. You may be using that existing rubber duck antenna, and you're looking for something a little bit better. So we're going to talk about some antenna options, which you can see right on the screen right now. So we are currently looking for your railfanning spots. Send us a photo of the spot that you like to go railfanning and a little bit of a description of that particular location. You can email those at railfanspots@trainaficionado.com. That's railfanspots@trainaficionado.com. As soon as we have enough of those, we will do a broadcast showing off some of these railfan spots that you've shared with us. So it's a part of our Buckeye Bluegrass Express 2024 tour and beyond. So this will be all across the country and even around the world. So if you're watching us in other countries and you have a favorite railfanning spot, certainly share that with us. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to our social media as well. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Train Aficionado. And then, of course, don't forget about our website, trainaficionado.com. And while you're there, you can shop our swag shop. We have hats, t-shirts, hoodies, travel mugs, all types of cool stuff right at trainaficionado.com. So tonight's topic, we are talking about 4 Great Railfan Scanner Antennas. So give you a little bit of background of what you can monitor on a scanner, which we've talked about in the past. Of course, you know, there's analog communications, which is on the 160 to 161 megahertz. Then there's some railroads that are using NXDN, maybe for a yard or a scenic railway where it's not sharing the right-of-way with other users. And of course, there's some data channels as well. So if you want to look at a complete channel list, visit trainaficionado.com/AAR-channels. So you can check out the website for those. On that page, you'll be able to see a list of those channels. As you can see here, they're starting at 159 and then rolling all the way up to 161 point blah, blah, blah megahertz. So typically you want to have an antenna that's tuned to VHF. This is the VHF band, which is the 150, 160 megahertz. So if you see antennas that say VHF, that's this particular band. UHF, of course, is the 400 megahertz. And then the 8 and 900 megahertz and 700 megahertz are self-explanatory. It's the 7, 8, and 900 megahertz. But these are just the channels. And of course, if you want to see a complete list of this, you can go to trainaficionado.com/AAR-channels. Now, these are some of the data channels that are available. So typically, these are used by the end of train or the head of train. And typically on these data channels, you'll hear a series of beeps. So it'll be little tones that you'll be able to hear. Also, the DPU emulates data as well. So this is great for monitoring if you're in an area where there's not a lot of radio communication and you're out and about by the tracks. You'll hear this data coming over the radio. It'll sound like a bunch of beeps. And what it'll do is it'll indicate to you that there's a train close. It's a low-powered transmitter that's allowing this to occur. So that means that the train is in close proximity of you. So that's a great thing. Unfortunately, you don't know what direction it's going in, but at least you know that there's a train approaching you from one of the directions that you're standing at trackside. So we've talked about this antenna a lot. This is the Smiley antenna. SmileyAntenna.com is the website. And this is a slim duck 160 megahertz antenna. Now this antenna is pretty unique. As you can see here, it'll perform between the 150 and 165 megahertz. So that means that this antenna is dead centered on the 160 megahertz. So this antenna is probably the best for rail fanning because it's tuned right to the 160 megahertz. You notice that the midway point in between 150 and 165 would be 160. It's a super effective VHF antenna. It's got 6 dB gain. It has a flex base loaded antenna, and it's even manufactured tough enough for military and aesthetically pleasing for the consumer. So it's about 9 inches tall, and you can actually order it with the appropriate connector. In most cases, you're going to order it with a BNC connector, as you see photographed right on the image to the right of the antenna. And that basically screws onto the bottom. You can order different connectors. So if you're using this on a scanner that has an NMO mount, you can order it with that. You can order several different types of connectors which will connect up to this. So this is the Smiley antenna. This is a fan favorite of mine. I actually own about 3 of these now. So I have one for, of course, my 125 AT. I also have one for the 160 DN. I also have one for my Anytone that I use as well. So I have about 3 of these. I do like this antenna. Works extremely well. I've talked to people about this antenna in many of my classes, and a lot of people picked it up and they are amazed how remarkable it works. So definitely, if you're looking for one of the best rubber duck mobile portable antennas, I should say, the Smiley is one of the best. Coming in second place when it comes to portable antennas is the BNC VHF 160-260 professional portable antenna. Now the difference in between this antenna and the Smiley is you notice it goes from 150 to 162 megahertz. So probably somewhere around 157 megahertz is probably where it's about centered. So it's not centered right on the 160. It's centered more in the 150 megahertz. So its length is a little over 6 inches. It's a rubber duck, has a BNC connector, as you can see in the bottom, the photograph there. They also have this antenna available in an SMA version. A place like Scanner Master carries this antenna, and a few other places carry this antenna as well. So this is a highly great quality antenna. Looks very much like the the radio antenna that's on their portable. But you can see here that the other antenna is probably better suited because it's centered on the 160 megahertz, where this antenna is probably somewhere around 157 megahertz. So the big thing with antennas, when it comes to portable antennas, you want something that's a single band antenna that's tuned for that band. That means it's going to work extremely well on that other band, but it probably won't work so great on others. And reason being, you're with a scanner enthusiast that's listening to the railroads, you want to have something that's tuned to the railroad band because that allows you to be able to pick that up really well. So 2 great options. So we also have a few other options as well. So let's take a look at a mobile option. Now this antenna is not tuned to a specific band, and this is available from Scanner Master. If you're looking to put an antenna on the outside of your vehicle, I strongly recommend the Spectrum Force wideband antenna with mag mount and BNC. Now, the great thing about this antenna, it can be either used permanently on a vehicle or temporary. So if you're, let's say you're flying out to somewhere to go rail fanning and you're renting a car, you can easily pack this antenna in a suitcase, and then you can just easily put it on the vehicle. The other thing with this antenna, it's even a great one to be able to put at your home or office, because you can place the antenna outside your window. The coax cable, a lot of times you're able to snake this out the window, so it'll be able to sit in the windowsill. It is a strong magnet. It's a unique 5-pronged mini base magnet. Grips your car at high speeds. I've never had an issue with the antenna coming off. The great thing about the antenna, it's 17 inches in height, and it's pretty lightweight. So that mag mount on the bottom will do the job. This also includes 12 feet of coax cable. Also is available with an SMA or a BNC connector. Covers the full band coverage from 25 to 1300 megahertz. Works extremely well. I would highly recommend looking at this particular antenna, because it is a heavy grade, great antenna for being able to do what you need to do. So the Spectrum Force wideband mobile antenna with BNC. So the BNC is going to be great for the 160, 260 DN. If you're running like a 15X or the 125 AT, all those radios have BNC connectors. There are a few radios out there that have SMA, like the Home Patrol 1, the Home Patrol 2, the 436, and then if you have the 396 or the 346, all those scanners have a SMA connector. So SMA is a small connector, it's threaded, and the BNC is what we call a twist and lock. So it's a twist and lock connector. All this works really well. I would highly recommend, taking a look at this antenna. This is actually an antenna that I'm using on my vehicle. Works extremely well. So, like with the rubber duck antennas, there are tuned vehicle antennas. Now, you're probably saying, let's take a look back. So you notice we did a wideband antenna on this option here. So this will help with range with not only monitoring the railroads, but if you're monitoring public safety, this is an all-around wideband antenna, so it'll work extremely well. So it's not tuned to one frequency where the other two rubber ducks that I showed you were. So we do have a mobile antenna that is tuned to the VHF band. As you can see here, the BB1442N, which is a layered antenna, will work extremely well on the VHF. Now, it's probably going to come in somewhere maybe closer to the 160 megahertz. Sometimes with some of these antennas, you can actually cut down the whip to be, tuned to that particular band. So basically the length of the whip will kind of tune the antenna. This is one antenna that I found. There's several different antennas that are out there that are tuned to the VHF, as you can see here. This particular antenna has 2.5 dB gain, so that means it's going to bring in some of those weaker signals. It's also 55 inches in height. So it's a high-profile antenna. So if you're going to be putting this on a pickup truck, you're probably going to be hitting things, especially going into parking garages and what have you. So, this may not be the best option if you have a high-profile vehicle and you typically go into parking garages. The other thing, a lot of this particular type of antenna is available with an NMO mount. What does that mean? Basically, it's a threaded mount, and you can purchase the antenna and then the mount separately. So there's several different options when it comes to mounts. There's a mag mount, trunk lip mount, mirror mount, a hole mount where you actually drill a hole through the trunk or through the top of the vehicle, and then you put in that hole mount, seals tight as a rubber gasket that seals it tight in. What I recommend with you using a hole mount, if you haven't done it before and you don't have experience doing it, get a professional to do it. You know, there's lots of radio shops across the country. You know, maybe call up a radio shop, tell them that you're looking to put in an antenna. Would they mind drilling a hole and installing it for you? Especially if it's a brand new vehicle. I mean, I would be a little leery myself, you know, taking a drill to my vehicle and putting this in, and hopefully, you know, me knowing what I'm supposed to know, not have any leaks. When it's done correctly, you'll never have any leaks. It's really super simple to install. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of different other mounting options. As I mentioned before, trunk lip mount, where it slides over the trunk lip. A mag mount, which it has the metal, not a magnetic ring on it. And then, of course, there's a mirror mount. So let's say if you were driving a big rig and you had the tubing for the mirror, you'd be able to attach it there. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different options, but this is an example of one of the antennas, and this can be picked up at various websites that actually carry mobile antennas like this. Well, it's time to answer some of your questions when it comes to mobile and portable antennas for rail fans. Hopefully, you know, this kind of answered some of your questions regarding it. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of options when it comes to scanner antennas. But since we're rail fans, you probably want to get something that's tuned to that particular band. You don't want something that's not going to work well. I mean, for the railroads, you got to remember their communication is a line of sight. There's no repeaters for the most part. So it's, you know, from you to wherever that radio is being transmitted. You know, with the strength of power can certainly have issues. You know, if a 5-watt portable will only go so far. Maybe the cab radio with the engineer communicating, you'll hear that a lot further. So range can be less or more when it comes to communication. So definitely keep that in mind. So range is definitely a big deal. So having that antenna that's tuned to that specific band would allow you to be able to hear that communication a little bit better, get a little bit further distance, versus you know, a regular antenna. It's going to work okay across all the bands, but not fantastic on one. With a tuned antenna, it's going to work fantastic on a particular band. Even if you do have a portable scanner in your vehicle, you may want to connect up a rooftop antenna when you're not out trackside rail fanning. That may be a great suggestion. Let's say you're in the truck or car and it's raining. You know, you want to be able to make sure that, you know, you can get some decent range. Like, for example, I have a 536 in my truck, which I monitor the railroads, and I monitor public safety. I use the antenna that we showed tonight, the Spectrum Force wideband antenna with BNC. It works pretty well on the railroads. The great thing about it is I get a little bit more range in the truck because that antenna is up and out of the vehicle, and it's higher up than me standing trackside. So I'm able to get a little bit more range with that particular antenna, which is good. So getting a little bit more range, certainly helpful. Where was I going with this? But yeah, certainly a little bit more range is certainly helpful. Let's go rail fanning. Still waiting on more people to submit rail fanning locations. I did get your emails, so I'll definitely include those into the program. Just trying to get some more people to submit some photos of their favorite rail fanning spots. But great question. The portable antennas, yeah, so they are typically rubber. So they're protected from the weather. Typically your scanner, to a degree, can take some weather at it. Of course, you're not going to leave it out in the rain or do anything like that. So you want to keep it protected. As I mentioned all the time with portable scanners, make sure that you basically get a carrying case. So carrying cases protect the radio. Make it so, preventing drops and things like that. So a carrying case is definitely key to protecting your radio. Of course, it's not going to weatherproof it. So don't leave it out in the rain. Don't drop it in a puddle. Don't drop it in the pool. Just keep the radio. Just keep the radio safe. So, that'll be a great thing to do with that. But, the antennas, yeah, I mean, an antenna on the outside of a vehicle is weatherproof. It's made to be outside. The rubber duck antennas, yeah, they're able to take, weather and such. It's a rubber material. Other than the rubber duck antennas, sometimes you'll have a metal telescopic. I've seen people use that as well. Not the most comfortablest thing for using while rail fanning. You don't want a metal antenna digging in on your side. So typically, a rubber duck would be a great option, especially, when it's only 9 inches tall or 6 inches tall. It's going to, if you're carrying it at your waist, it's not going to be so bad. Not going to be digging into you like a metal antenna. But yeah, we're definitely looking for more of your rail fanning spots. We would love to see those. Definitely send them over to us. All I ask of you is a little bit of a description of where you like to rail fan and some photos. So essentially, that'll put together a show, and then what I'll do is I'll share some of the photos in the slide, and then we can talk about the location where people rail fan. We're always looking for great rail fanning spots. I can't tell you how many times I get people suggesting rail fanning spots all the time, especially around here in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. Have you heard of this location? Have you heard of that location? I mean, there are tons of locations throughout the throughout the country. But yeah, I mean, it's great to hear from people from the local area. They know all the how much traffic there is along a particular line and some of the really cool spots. I try to look for spots where you can actually get some background shots. I mean, a lot of times, us rail fans, we typically trying to get the power, get photos of the power, and we go super tight in. I found now lately for me, I'm trying to get a good shot with not only the train, but also what's around the train. So being able to see the environment, whether it's industrial or farmlands or it's a city or townscape, it's becoming, for me, it's kind of like getting a whole landscape and trying to see what it all looks like. But yeah, even looking at, some of my photos with photographing just the clouds alone, in the shot can be really cool, add some color. I probably could do a show about, what I do typically when I go out rail fanning. How do I determine what side of the tracks I'm going to be on for photography and things like that? So we'll definitely probably do that as an upcoming show as well. But yeah, I mean, in the photo right now, you can see that's the Norfolk Southern Virginian. And you can actually, if you look pretty close at the photo, you can actually see that I'm taking a photo of the train, and there's a gentleman. If you look to the left of the locomotive, you'll see he's taking a photo as well of the train. So I was able to get this beautiful shot of probably about a month ago or so. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly a lot of fun being out there rail fanning. Let me go through a couple of slides, and I'll answer any questions that you guys have. And And then what we'll do is we'll wrap it up for this evening in kind of a quick little show. I mean, we're talking about 4 antennas. So those are the 4 that I would recommend if you're in the market for either replacing the rubber duck antenna or looking to put an antenna on your vehicle. Those would be some of the options. Of course, these, they're not terribly expensive, which is great, but they're efficient and they will do the job. So let me roll through a couple of slides, and we will come back with some of your questions. So let me just, I got to manually do this because I didn't set this up on the slide deck. So hold on one second. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. I had to reset my Stream Deck, which was, which I'm kind of like disappointed. I have a button missing. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't program that button in. So tonight's topic, we're talking about the 4 Great Railfan antennas, and this is another look at them. So going from left to right, we have the Smiley antenna there with the option of adding your own connector. So photographed there is the BNC connector, which will be used with most of the Uniden scanners, with a couple of exceptions to those various radios I mentioned earlier. And then, of course, for a mobile antenna, we have the Spectrum Force wideband antenna with BNC. And then we go from that to the professional VHF antenna with BNC connector. And remember, this is, okay, but, the Smiley's probably the way better option to go because that one's tuned directly to the 160 megahertz. And then, of course, we have the mobile antenna wrapping it up all the way over to the right. VHF covering the 160 to, 160 to 172 megahertz, if I remember correctly. And that's the Layered Technologies antenna. And there's several of those out there, so you can kind of price around with those. And then remember that these NMO mount antennas, the mounting gear is sold separately. So you'll have to purchase the NMO mount from as well. So make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to our social media as well. We're on Train Aficionado on Facebook, X, or Twitter, whatever it's called today, Instagram, and of course, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the channel as well. We would greatly appreciate that. And make sure you check out the website, trainaficionado.com. While you're there, you can check out our blog. You can also check out some of our trackside guides. We have several of them there, including the Cincinnati, Ohio area, Charlotte, North Carolina, and then, of course, Altoona, Pennsylvania, in and around the Horseshoe Curve. So several great guides. Of course, from our swag shop, you can pick up hats, T-shirts. We do have a camping mug and a travel mug and a whole bunch of other things. So definitely check out trainaficionado.com and shop our store. And as I mentioned earlier, to answer Let's Go Railfanning. Let's Go Railfanning. When we're going to do this show, hopefully soon. Just trying to get a few more people to submit their railfanning spots. You can email those at trainaficionado.com. Railfanspots at trainaficionado.com. And that'll be a part of our Buckeye Bluegrass and Beyond tour. So we're really looking forward to getting those photos, and hopefully we will get those soon. I got another question in the chat there, so let me just go to that right now. Have I ever chased the 2816 steam locomotive, the CP and KC, excuse me? No, I haven't as of yet. I haven't really chased any of these locomotives, these steam ones. Typically, I haven't been anywhere near where they've been running. So I haven't done that as of yet. Hopefully someday I'll be able to get some photos of some of the steam locomotives that are running on the main line. I mean, the only one that I really kind of got some photos of on the main line was 611. It was a few years ago. I got it doing the ferry move out of North Carolina up to Pennsylvania. I didn't really chase it because I wasn't familiar enough with the line to be able to kind of really do a good chase. But I was able to get it leaving the North Carolina Transportation Museum, and I got it at two spots essentially. Got some quick photos of it, but I mean, that was a lot of fun being able to see, 611. And 611 was there for quite a long time during when COVID was going on. I mean, the museum opened with social distancing and all that. But I paid 611 quite a few visits when I was there. But that will wrap it up for tonight's show. If there's no more questions, I thank you so much for joining me tonight. I greatly appreciate everybody that's watching tonight, and I hope you're able to do some rail fanning. As for the Buckeye Bluegrass Tour, we're going to have an event on the July the 13th, and that's going to be actually decided by a lot of the people that have gone to these rail fanning events. I'm actually going to send an email to the list that I have of people that attended my rail fanning events, and they're going to be able to vote for where they go in July. So I'm really looking forward to sending that out. I'm just finalizing some of the locations on there. And then on Saturday, July the 13th, we will do a trackside event. And, of course, we'll be doing some more trackside events throughout the remainder of the summer and into the fall. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys, especially if you're in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. That's where a bulk of the rail fanning spots are taking place, so I'm not having to travel 1,000 miles. But we would love to be able to see you there trackside. Thank you so much for everyone that's joined the show. A lot of you watch each and every week. I appreciate every one of you. Be safe out there. We'll catch you again. Excuse me. We'll catch you again next week for the Scanner Guys, and then again for Train Aficionado Live. Chris is going to go to Chicago on the train next Thursday through Sunday, and he's taken his, I believe you have the Smiley antenna. So that should be a lot of fun to be able to listen to the train communication on Amtrak with your Smiley antenna. So certainly really cool. We appreciate every one of you watching. Safe travels to you, Chris. Thanks, Jim, for the comment for the great topic. And Lincoln, thank you for your comment about the great show. So have a great evening. We will catch you again next time on Train Aficionado Live, and, of course, next week on the Scanner Guys. So have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you again soon.